Hey, welcome back, guys. Here's another video on finding slope and y-intercept. The first example will be finding it from a graph, and the second example will come from a table. It says the graph of a linear function is shown on the coordinate grid. What is the slope and the y-intercept of the function? So just want to remind you, slope is your change in y over your change in x, and then the y-intercept is just where the line meets the y-axis. All right. So the first thing is you start from the farthest left point. Just the way you read left to right. And if you look at the graph, it's going up. So this is actually a positive slope. So you start from the far left point. How far does it you go up before you're across from the second ordered pair, which would be 2. So you went up 2. You count spaces all the way to get to the second ordered pair, and that was 8. So your change in y was 2, and your change in x was 8. That does simplify to 1/4. Now you look at the graph and go, where does it meet the y-axis, or where does it cross? It crosses at 0 and -2. All right, let's look at the next example. Josh is saving money to buy a computer. He put the initial amount he saved into a jar. Each month he puts an additional amount of money into the jar. The table shows the linear relationship between the number of months Josh has added money to the jar X and then the total amount of money in the jar Y. Which statement is true? So A and B are discussing the initial amount, or the y-intercept, and then C and D is discussing the rate of change or slope. So we'll go ahead and get started. So first we'll find the change in y. How does 225 become 285 plus 60? How does 285 become 405 is plus 120? And then how does 405 become 525 is 120? Now we'll do the same process on the left side. How does 5 become 7? That'd be plus 2. 7 become 11 is plus 4. And then 11 become 15 is plus 4. So 60 over 2. And then 120 over 4. However, they all simplified to 30. So our slope is actually 30. Now, I'm going to solve this a little different for finding the initial value. I'm going to solve it making a one-step equation is basically what I'm doing using the slope-intercept form. I'm going to plug in 30 for the slope, which is what I found. I can use any of the x and y values. I'm going to use the smallest because it requires less math, in my opinion, or intensity. I don't know what word you want to use. And then the y value, when x is 5, the y is 225. All right, now we're going to simplify the right side of the equation, and 30 times 5 is 150. Bring down the plus 5 equals 225. Now we need to isolate our variable b by using inverse operations. We'll subtract 150 from both sides because we're balancing equations, and b equals 75. So now let's go to our answer choices. The initial value is 225. Well, that's not correct because that's when it's 5 months. The initial amount is 75, and that's what we did get. That would be B. Let's go through the rest just to double check. The amount he adds each month is 45. No, that would be 30. And the amount of money he adds is 60. Well, that's still wrong. We already know it's 30. All right. Well, thanks for watching. If this video helped, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, or even drop a comment.